Welcome to the new and improved BCMA podcast show, brought to you by our friends with Southern Sound Outfitters. Welcome to the new and improved BCMA show podcast. I'm your host Jacob, and today on this episode we are joined by Landon Bullard of Landon Bullard and the Mostly Sober. How are you doing today, man?
I'm doing absolutely wonderful. How about yourself, brother?
Just trying to stay out this heat, man. I know it's hot over there in Texas and it's hot in Louisiana. Just trying to stay cool.
Yes, sir. That's the name of the game down here in the South, huh?
So, man, where are you originally from out of Texas?
So, well, I was actually born in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, and then I relocated to Houston when I was pretty young. I was probably about, 3 years old, 4 years old whenever we moved to Texas. We moved down to Matagorda County in Bay City, Texas. My dad was working shift work over at the nuclear project down in Matagorda.
Wow, so you was born a Cajun over here down here in Baton Rouge and Bayou Country.
Yes, sir. I was born a Cajun and raised a Texan.
Well, hey, that's a good combination right there, man. Very good combination. So, growing up between Louisiana and Texas, who were some of your musical influences growing up?
You know, it's kind of cliche to say it, but I grew up in a pretty musical family. My dad played in a honky-tonk group, the Western Express, and they covered, John Prine, Conway Twitty, just a lot of the country standards you hear today, or that would be classified as standards, and Waylon and all the Outlaws are all people I grew up and like to listen to.
That's awesome. That seems to be great musicians. If you're in the country music industry, no matter where you're from or where you're at, if you haven't heard or grew up on Merle and Hank and Waylon and all those, Conway, Keith Whitley, all the greats, man. That's just heck. I ain't even a musician, and I grew up on that, man. And I love that true country sound. And at what age, man, did you start playing and singing?
Oh, like I mentioned, I grew up in a pretty musical family, so I had two older brothers, and my parents had us all three of us in the choir over at the Methodist Church. So that's more or less I started singing. It was all gospel stuff whenever I was younger. And, my brother got into high school and he was in a band, so I'd always pick up a guitar and try and monkey see, monkey do. I kind of started teaching myself how to play after then. And, I kind of just stuck with it, I guess.
Well, man, that's something I always say, and I've interviewed a lot of artists, and a lot come from, growing up in the gospel, in church and singing, and that's a great way for youth to begin to learn music and stuff, because it seems to lead to bigger, better things.
Certainly.
So, man, you're being in the Texas country music scene. Who are some of the artists that you look up to out there?
Just the ones that work hard, I think, this whole scene is 90% grit and 10% luck, and whenever you notice people, that are out doing things, that, maybe a year and a half ago, 2 years ago, wasn't really out in the cards for them, but, being able to withstand it and get out there and cut your teeth on the road and make it happen for yourself. That's really who I look up to. I'd have to say, the boys at American Aquarium are a hard-working outfit. Shout out to Co Wetzel and them. Those guys are opening doors for a lot of kids in Texas. A lot of people should be thanking them for getting out and getting into these rooms that they're getting into all over they're out on the West Coast right now, I think. But, they were out in Illinois and New York and Chicago playing, red dirt, Americana country music, whatever you want to call it. And, they're opening doors for other kids to be able to go do that too. So, pretty much anybody that works hard, I'm a big fan of.
Well, man, that's it's funny how you mentioned that about the guys that are out there. Maybe a year ago they aren't at the spot they are now just by working hard. And right offhand, I can name Colby Cooper blowing up right now, Tristan Merez blowing up right now, putting out a bunch of new music, man, and just the list goes on and on of these young guys that a year and a half ago didn't have all of the. They made it happen, in other words. So, yeah, man, I definitely agree with that. So let's get into you, man, and your music. You got a new self-titled 5-song EP that dropped April 19th of this year. How does it feel getting this new music out to the public, and what has the overall response been so far?
It's been great, just getting it out in the first place. It was a self-funded project, so we spent, a lot of money on it, and it was all money that we went out and raised ourselves just playing shows on the road. We didn't do a GoFundMe for this project or a Kickstarter, and not to say that we wouldn't ever do that, but it was just something that we felt like we would save for a larger project or something. A lot of these songs that are on there are songs that I wrote in the infancy of my career. It's kind of more or less an introductory to myself and kind of a segue to my next project that I'm looking forward to getting into the studio and starting, as soon as some of these songs take their life cycle,
Is there any particular song off the EP that is more special to you or your personal favorite?
That's a great question. I feel like I'm partial to a few songs on there just because of how they came about and what they did for me in the time that I was writing them. That song "Devils from Oklahoma" came about whenever I had just pretty much quit my job full time to pursue. I was working for a startup company doing inside sales, and I was approached by an oil and gas company to kind of do the same thing for them. And I figured it was a good opportunity for me to make some money to put aside to go ahead and start recording this project, and I'd have extra money for promotion and all kinds of stuff. So I quit my job and was kind of living off my savings account while I was trying to generate some new business for this other company, and that other company ended up not paying me a dime. And so I had at one point I had an eviction notice on my door, and I booked a show that night and played that show and paid my rent, and pretty much figured out that, music was going to be the only thing for me at this point. And so I wrote that song, "The Devils from Oklahoma." It was about kind of about my boss that kind of led me into that little gig there for a minute that turned out to be too good to be true, So I really like that song. There's a song on there, "Prayers from Texas," that I wrote for this group of kids, the Sunshine Kids organization, and I think it can do a lot for a lot of people. The lyrics in the chorus say, "Don't let the bad times bring you down. There's always sun behind those clouds. There are things that we can't change, so don't damn the rain." So I think there's a lot of life hacks in that song, I guess. If you keep getting dealt, a bad hand of cards, it kind of helps you deal with that kind of stuff.
Certainly does, brother. And we have added your one of the songs, "Love Don't Come Easily," to our BCMA New Country Top 40 chart this week. That's going to be dropping tomorrow, which tomorrow it will be Friday for all listeners. Tell us a little backstory on that song.
So I went to school at Texas State University, and that's down in San Marcos County, or San Marcos, Texas, in Hayes County. And man, it was I was wilder than a fifth ace whenever I was in school, and I was always, on the go, and I had friends that were in relationships and stuff like that, and I just figured, like, all of them, some of them were always cheating on each other, or this, that, and the other, and I always said, love doesn't come easy, because I always admired my buddies that were in good relationships, that somehow found them, and it was like, love doesn't come easy. You can run, you can climb, you can jump, you can hide, to reach it, but you're still reaching. And so basically, just kind of like a tale of a guy in a college town that is trying to find one,
Definitely, it's great song, great lyrics, man. On the whole EP, I'm a huge lyric fan and nerd. I love listening to the actual stories in the songs, but we have the song here. We're gonna play it, and like I said, it's in our top 40 Spotify playlist, and will be on the chart this week. But I want to let you go ahead and introduce it.
So what's up, everybody? Tuning in. My name's Landon Bullard from Landon Bullard of the Mostly Sober, and you're listening to Love Don't Come Easy.
Well, hey there, baby, what you doing over there? I've been counting your smiles, I'm watching you stare. Come on, darling, won't you take my hand? You can be my world, I'll be your man. Everybody wants love, till love doesn't come easy. You can run, you can hide, you can jump, you can climb to reach it, reach it. Try to find the time you're too blind, you don't see it. Everybody wants love, it don't come easy. It don't come easy. Princess Angel, the clocks are winding down. We can pack our bags, living in time. Shut up and kiss me, what don't you understand? You can be my girl, I'll be your man. Everybody wants love, till love doesn't come easy. You can run, you can hide, you can jump, you can climb to reach it, reach it. You try to find the time you're too blind, you don't see it. Everybody wants love, it don't come easy. Don't come easy. Everybody wants love, till love doesn't come easy. You can run, you can hide, you can jump, you can climb to reach it, reach it.
And that was Love Don't Come Easy by Landon Bullard and the Mostly Sober. Landon's with us today talking about his EP and his life and his music. First question I have to ask, how did the name of the band come about, the Mostly Sober?
Well, it came about late one night, believe it or not. I was sitting at my computer one night, and I used to play with the band The Riverside, and they were actually their own group, and they would back me up whenever I had gigs. And man, it just got to a point to where, Landon Bullard and The Riverside was playing more often than the actual Riverside, so some of those guys felt a little indifferent about it. I just kind of figured I should probably go ahead and try and find a band and do something a little different. So I did, and I started a new group, and I named it The Mostly Sober. The reason I named it The Mostly Sober was I figured people got all kinds of stuff they do to get through their days, Everybody's got their own vices and such and the other, and mine's writing music. The buzz that I get from putting, my ideas into thoughts and putting them down on the paper and putting them to a melody and performing them on the stage and having them received is the best drug out there for me, so I always say if I'm out there writing music or performing it, I'm living my life mostly sober, so.
Well, man,
that's kind of where that came from.
I was expecting some kind of funny story, but you come about and just blew me away with that in a very how can I say, a very unique way, in a very intellectual way, and now I'm like, wow, that's awesome. Now every time I hear that, and hopefully all the listeners, they hear that and they can hear that message about what you just said. So let's get into the next topic here. Okay, you're obviously a songwriter of yourself, an artist. If you had the choice between writing with a legendary songwriter or maybe doing a duet with a legendary artist, which would you choose, and who would that be?
Man, if I could write with a legendary writer, I'd probably want to do, that writing thing probably would go a lot further for me, I think. I'd probably like to write with somebody, probably to the likes of, I'd have loved to have sat down with Gary Stewart or Keith Whitley and written a tune. I think those are probably my top two right there.
Hey, those are two great songwriters there. If you don't know who they are, then you're listening to the wrong show. That's all I can tell you.
No friend of mine.
Exactly. So, man, being like we mentioned earlier, being in the Texas country music scene, I know because I got to experience it firsthand when I lived out there for a while, and it's like it blew my mind away how it has its own little world, man, and most mainstream people don't really know about it. Besides a few select big timers that finally, they hit it big time, like Kojo and Aaron Watson and such. But explain in the best way you can, just the type of atmosphere, the type of different genres they all have in one country, total genre, and the family type atmosphere that each artist shares.
Yeah, Texas is a big state, so I think that, it's almost like its own country. It's wild, you play a show in West Texas and then, drive out to Lindale and tell me how different it is. It's, the people are different, the scenery's different. The style of music people are into changes, some people are more accustomed and comfortable, with the more traditional sound, and some people like a little rock and roll, a little grit, so I think Texas is regional in the sense that, there's just different folks all over the place, and, whenever folks start to outgrow it, that's they're onto something. You know, when Cody Johnson has to start booking, you know, all over because he's got, you know, non-compete clauses with all these venues, you know, it's like, dang, I need a bigger state or I need to get new fans elsewhere. So congrats to them for being able to travel around and do what they've done, because now, you know, all these other Texas artists are going to be able to break outside of the state and go do that as well, you know.
Yeah, and I like how you mentioned Texas itself. I just moved back from Texas. I was living in Beaumont for a job, but I've been all over Texas working in my past. It could be its own country. That's how, like, it is. That it really could be. And the terrain and the people from West Texas to North Texas to East Texas to South Texas, it's like its own country. And the musicians as well. You have the traditionalists, you know, such as Josh Ward and Randall Kings, and even young Tristan Merez, and then you got the guys that are kind of more that rock and roll, you know, like Cole and Parker. I would put him in a little bit of that, and Reed Southall. And then you have those guys that are kind of doing a little mix of it, like Sam Riggs and, you know, those type of guys. So they let whatever kind of style you like, Texas has what you like. There's so much to choose from. And how would you best describe how you fit into those little categories?
You know, I've always said we're kind of honky tonk and roll. This record itself, like I said, you know, I wrote a lot of these songs in my infancy, and you know, all these songs I was out and performing. I mean, I played, you know, Love Don't Come Easy in front of a sold-out crowd with Reckless Kelly in 2013. You know, that was damn near 6 years ago. I just didn't have the means of recording it and putting it out back then. But, you know, a lot of those songs kind of post, you know, the people I was listening to and I was being molded by and influenced by at that point when I had written them and recorded them, and now they came out. But I would say this newer sound that I've got is probably going to be more aligned with honky-tonk Americana music.
Awesome. That's one of my personal... I love them all, but I definitely love that honky-tonk. As Randall King says, neo-traditional country music. You listen to it, and it's like you're in a time lapse back to the 90s and the 80s of the great country artists, you know, such as Keith Whitley and all those. I mean, I personally am a 90s baby. I grew up listening to, of course, the old country, but 90s country was what I was listening to in the current, and I'm a huge fan of those 90s artists that kept it. I mean, Brooks and Dunn and Travis Tritt, Tracy Lawrence, you know, Mark Chestnut, Joe Diffie. Just that to me was country music, and it's changed so much worldwide into different things. But they do have artists that are keeping it to those roots, such as yourself, man, and that's awesome to see. Awesome to be able to witness. And if you haven't been down to Texas to listen to any of these artists, I'll challenge people that's listening. Just go look up on your computer. Just Google Texas country music and look at some artists. And don't be like quick to say, I don't know this person, I'm not listening. Because listen to every song of every artist, and you will be amazed at how indulged you can get into the just. Man, I'll be honest. When I first started working out there in Texas, I had no idea, you know, what Texas country was, and the guy I worked with was like, man, that's Casey Donahue, and this was back in 2013 or so, and I was like, I've never heard of that guy in my life, and then, you know, dove into all of that country, Texas country, and it was like, man, I didn't even want to listen to mainstream, because it was like, man, there's so many great artists, and it still continued, and like you said, it's being molded, and the younger guys are coming in, younger girls as well. Let me not discriminate. There's many very extremely talented female artists out of Texas as well. So,
yeah.
Yeah, definitely don't want to be caught up in people thinking this. I'll get called enough names. I don't want to be a sexist. You know,
I hear that.
I'm many things, but I'm not much politically correct. Much like our President Trump, I kind of just say, everybody wants to be politically correct, but I just believe in good old fashioned respect and so that's why I said that. But man, let's get back into some of your shows, man. You got some upcoming shows. I know this weekend you'll be up in Austin, Texas at the Fairgrounds Saturday, and then at the Rustic Tap on Sunday. What are some of your more upcoming shows you're looking forward to?
So we actually, we just played with Mo Bandy last weekend at the Melody Ranch in Waco, Texas, and being able to Mo Bandy is another one of those songwriters that I hold, I kind of use as the litmus test as far as lyrics go.
Definitely.
And being able to play with Mo was amazing. His band stuck around and watched us open up and had a lot of really great things to say about us. And any of these shows that I got coming up, I'm playing Tootie's Hilltop tonight actually from 6 to 7:30, so I'll be playing that after work slot there. But I just love getting out there and playing. If I'm out in front of anybody, I love them. I don't really prefer one show to the next, but just getting out there and playing. And I'm in talks with the Golden Nugget right now, putting together some dates for October.
Awesome.
The coming year out in Lake Charles, Louisiana. Y'all come see me.
Yeah, that's a great venue, man. They got a lot of great artists come in and out of there, and definitely a great place to come down Louisiana and get some people to discover you that haven't. And what's your favorite thing about performing live?
My favorite thing about performing live is, after the show, people come up and in some way or another you've impacted them. The energy you put out on stage, they were receiving it and they were giving it right back. And I think that's probably just the coolest thing. Music is such a weird thing, what it does for humans, and especially whenever you get a bunch of us around each other and, music's there. It's a pretty cool experience,
Man, I am a firm believer that music is therapy. Music can get you through tough times. Music has been around since the beginning of time, but man, music definitely is life-changing and can hit people, and I definitely understand what you mean by that, to have somebody come up to you and say, wow, that song really meant something to me by this way, or that'd be awesome. If I was talented enough to be a singer and not a host of a podcast and a show and a company to promote, I definitely would love that too, that aspect of it. Definitely, if you want to check out anything about Landon, you check his social medias and his website. Now, is the website Landon Bullard Music, or is it Landon Bullard in the Mostly Sober?
Yeah. It'll be LandonBullardMusic.com. And if you visit that website, you can find
everything.
All of my content. Yes, sir. Everything will be available there.
Awesome. Well, LandonBullard.com, and you check out everything. Got links to all the social medias, short tour dates, and all that, music, all that. And definitely, y'all go and continue to listen to this Spotify Top 40 playlist, because that's what gets these streams up for these artists, and that's what determines ultimately where they rank on our chart coming this Friday. And Landon included is one of those artists that's on there, man. And definitely support independent artists, because buy their merchandise, buy their music, go to shows, because like we mentioned throughout this interview, these guys are doing it on their own, and this is their job, and this is this is everything. So you're supporting them by doing what we just said. So on that note, I will have to say it was a pleasure talking to you, man, and definitely want to give a special thanks to Miss Jennifer with Generate Promotions that helps me get in touch with her roster of great musicians such as Landon. So shout out to her. And Landon, I'll let you go ahead and say any kind of shout outs, thank yous, or anything you want to say. Go ahead. I'll give you the floor.
Well, yeah, thank you. I just want to, shout out to Jenna as well. Thank you to her for putting everything together. And I just want to thank you, Jacob, for, having me out. And, putting together the Bayou Country Music Association and drawing awareness to all of us independent artists out here trying to just to make a living.
Yes, sir. That is the mission of the Bayou Country Music Association that I started and did it all. Been my own pretty one-man show, but my whole goal is just getting every independent artist all over this country, not just Texas, not just Louisiana, getting the credit and the promotion they deserve, man. Because I know it's tough these days and with getting into music with mainstream and everything. So if I can do that for one artist, or I can get another fan for an artist, that to me is the same as what you mentioned earlier about how someone telling you that your music spoke to them. And I've had a few times where I had to sit back and just be like, wow, that was, had somebody reach out on Facebook and say, thank you, BCMA. I never heard of this person. Now I'm a huge fan. That's the whole point of it, man. We're not here for big money. We don't. This is non-profit. We're just doing this because I love country music and I love original country music, original artists and independent artists, and it just amazes me how much talent there is out there that doesn't get discovered. So that's definitely our mission. But let me not drag you on out here, man. I appreciate you coming on. You can always come back. As I say, when you come on to the show, you are part of the BCMA family. You can, whatever you want to do, man, and you shoot us over a text or a message or anything like that, if we can help in any way, we will. And we're definitely going to try and make a show out in your area. And especially if you come down to Lake Charles, that's an hour drive from me, so I'll be there in a heartbeat.
Certainly. Well, I'll be sure to keep up with you, brother. I'll let you know anytime I'm around. And, if I got some free time, I'll call in and shoot the breeze with you.
Well, I appreciate it, man. Really do. I hope you have a blessed day, and good luck this weekend out there in Austin.
Thank you, brother. You have a great weekend as well. God bless you.
Thank you for listening to this episode of the BCMA Show podcast, available on Spotify, iTunes, iHeartRadio app, and our YouTube page. For more information, be sure and check out our website, BayouCountryMusic.com.